The biggest fish in free agency, Johnny Gaudreau, has been caught. He goes to Columbus on one heck of a big free agent deal. Jay Forster of Locked On Blue Jackets is with us. I'm Gil Martin of Locked On NHL, and this is part of our continuing coverage of NHL Free Agency. Jay, the big news, Johnny Hockey coming to Ohio. Your thoughts on this long-term, huge free agent deal?
Oh man, is this the biggest contract signing in the Blue Jacket history? I think it might be. I was all ready for Patrick Laine, who I'm sure we're going to talk about in a minute, to be the guy to have the big, big Columbus contract, but apparently they went Gaudreau, 7 years, $9.8 million. He left money on the table in Calgary, from what I'm hearing, but I guess Ohio is close enough to home that he wants to be there.
Yeah, and okay, let's get straight to it. $9.8 million per year. How does this affect Columbus's cap situation?
Well, we don't have a lot now. With that, plus the Eric Gabranson signing earlier in the day, which I feel a way about. I'm sure I'll get into that in a future episode of Locked On Blue Jackets. But the Blue Jackets don't have enough money now to sign Patrick Laine unless somebody else goes, which I think is the biggest thing, and that's the reason I'd seen these rumors kind of floating around all day, and then Elliot Friedman I think was like, "Hey, Columbus is looking to make a splash. Expect." Maybe they're in the game for Johnny Gaudreau. And I was like, no, this is just Yarmo, either trying to drive the price up, or he just, was doing his due diligence, put a couple of feelers out to see if Gaudreau was interested. But why would we reach out and sign Gaudreau? We've got Patrick Laine that we're trying to sign. We don't have the cap to fit them both. I would love both of them on the team, but we don't have enough. And so I immediately was just like, yeah, no, this is neat, but it's another case of Columbus being in on a player that decides to go elsewhere. That's kind of been the story of free agency for Columbus for a long time now. But now we got Gaudreau, which is incredible. But I do wonder, what do we do with Patrick Laine? Do we move? We've got about $3 million left in cap space after today. If we can move maybe a Gus Nyquist out, we could probably squeeze Patrick Laine into the cap situation, but I don't think it's super likely, and the team will be very, very cash strapped. So we'll see. But right now, it's hard to be like, but what about the salary cap right now when you've just made a signing like this? He immediately becomes maybe honestly, he immediately becomes a top 3 player to ever play for Columbus. There's an argument he could be the best player that's ever put on a Columbus jersey.
Very possible. And let's ask this right off the top. What does this do for the Columbus Blue Jackets? Where do you see him? I mean, who are the potential line mates he'll play with, and what does this do for the team?
Line mates is kind of weird because we don't really have a ton of center depth at the minute. So I was looking for them to go out and pick up a center. I was like, oh, it'd be nice if we could get Andrew Kopp maybe, or, Dylan Strome, a decent, top to middle six center. I was like, that's the splash we're going to make. So I'm not sure who he's going to play with. I would love to see maybe a line of Gaudreau and then put Voracek on the other end, and then maybe Jack Roslovic or Cole Stillinger, or maybe even Boone Jenner in between those two to kind of stabilize that top line and give them a little bit of meanness, I guess. Boone Jenner likes to throw the body around, things like that. And, Johnny Gaudreau, fantastic player, is only about 5'8". So I don't necessarily think he needs protecting, but I would like to see a guy like Boone Jenner maybe on that line to throw his body around and give Gaudreau more room to do Johnny Gaudreau things. So I think that'd be neat. But yeah, I'd want him paired up with a Voracek, or potentially even a guy like Kent Johnson, who has been showing off his playmaking skills and his hands in development camp this week for the Blue Jackets. So yeah, that could be a really fun combination of those two 5'8", 5'10" guys just running rings around the rest of the Metropolitan Division.
And as far as just the atmosphere, the feeling around the franchise, how has that changed today?
Oh, this is so exciting. Like, I don't remember being this excited about a free agent signing or literally any kind of, like, I was psyched when we got Patrick Laine, but I was disappointed that we had to let Dubois go. You know, we've never had a big free agency signing like this, or we've never had a big name player come in where we haven't had to give up something in return. And so, you know, Johnny Gaudreau, in my mind, takes the Columbus Blue Jackets from being a potential playoff team to almost certainly a playoff team. And that's exciting. Like, I've talked a lot this week about after, the draft and after, looking at the players that the Blue Jackets have got kind of coming into the lineup next season. We got a couple of older prospects who've come over from Europe that are going to play. David Jiricek could be a Blue Jacket in October. Like, he's good enough to start the season with the Blue Jackets, I think, and so I've been talking a lot about how bright the future is for Columbus. I think that Jarmo Kekalainen's been calling it a retool, not a rebuild. I think it's been going a lot faster than anyone expected with the emergence of the good young players. I think a lot of them are closer than many people thought. I think they just took another huge step towards being a legitimate contender. I don't think they're there yet, but this signing, I think this could be a franchise-altering decision. When you look back in 10 years' time, this could be the point at which you look and you say, this is what changed everything for Columbus.
We will soon find out. Jay, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
As you can find Locked On Blue Jackets wherever you listen to Locked On NHL, any podcast app of choice. We're also over on YouTube, so go find me over there. Tomorrow's episode will, of course, be all about Johnny Gaudreau, which is not what I was planning to do, but hey, you you do what you can, You can find the show on Twitter at LO_Blue Jacket, and you can find me where I will probably be screaming in all caps for the rest of the night over at _Jacob Forster, which you can find down at the bottom of the screen here because it's quite difficult to spell.
All right, Jay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Gil.